From shucking oysters to talking food with the founders. From quick snacks to the big contracts.
Hi, everyone. My name's Heidi Knoblauch, and I'm the host of Founders Fridge. Founders Fridge is a podcast where we talk to founders about what they eat while they're building their companies. On today's episode, we have Isabelle Kent. Isabelle is the CEO of StartUp Leaders and the founder of Gigsaw. I talked to Isabelle about some very special macaroons, stuffed peppers, and iced coffee. You won't want to miss it. Let's see what's in Isabelle's fridge.
Yeah, success got the drive and the hunger. But what's on your dinner plate? What keeps you going longer?
Isabelle, it is so awesome to have you on Founders Fridge. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's my absolute pleasure. I love talking about food.
Good. You are perfect for the podcast. So tell me a little bit about your story. Like, what are you building right now?
Yeah, so I'm in an interesting inflection point because I think, like most founders these days and consultants and folks in this space, no one's doing really just one thing anymore. And so I have a couple different worlds that I live in. Most folks will probably know me for my work with Philly StartUp Leaders, which is Philly's largest and most active early stage startup community. It's been running for about 18 years at this point, services some 13,000 entrepreneurs, and really helps early stage founders get started and grow and navigate to the resources they're going to need to do all that. We recently dropped the Philly and are now doing an expansion globally under a more streamlined approach. And I've been a member of that organization for the better part of my career, and I've been running it for about 5. However, I can never do just one thing. So in addition to that, I'm doing a lot of consulting right now on integrated regional development, very much focused on innovation, workforce, and community engagement. So everything from supporting corporates that want to engage with innovation or local communities more to become better stewards of what's going on in their own backyard, all the way through helping other governments or ecosystems establish their new models for supporting entrepreneurs, especially in the world of AI, this little thing that no one's ever heard of. And my passion project and the thing I've been working on and off for about 10 years now is Gigsaw. So that's a behavioral intelligence platform for organizations to understand the hidden potential within their team members and source folks that are going to be a great team fit, a great value fit, but also folks that they can grow with and support over time based on the things that they're looking for. The goal of Gigsaw is not just to be a hiring platform or a personality assessment. It's very much focused on helping people understand themselves, their lived experiences, the environments that have shaped them, their energy levels as they move throughout their workday and their careers, and try to find roles that align with their values and intrinsic motivations. And so that way they can stay on track with their professional development.
That's awesome. And I think you also had an exit too, right? Like, what is the other company you were working on?
Yeah. So my last stint in consulting pre-PSL, I was working with a Canadian company. So actually kind of tying all that together, the reason why Gigsaw exists and I started to pursue this was because I went through burnout pretty badly when I had a corporate job. Not because I worked for a bad corporation. They actually had great benefits, great team, great company. But once you work in startups, the corporate speed isn't really your thing. And so I started to get very, very bored. And when I went through burnout, I started interviewing other people and trying to get to the root as to why I wasn't feeling fulfilled at work. Around that same time, I ended up taking a job in another startup. I wanted to go back to the chaos of super early stage companies and found myself working for a company out of Thunder Bay, Ontario, sight unseen, got hired on Angel List. Definitely thought I was going to get kidnapped because I'd never heard of Thunder Bay and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And so I took this job, and it was a job board company that was helping optimize job search beyond the location and the title to really track the things that you look at and engage with as you move through the internet, take those cookies and really build a more custom profile based on the sort of jobs that might be a good fit for you. So not too far off from what Gigsaw is trying to achieve, but they were more in the job board space. And Job AdX was actually acquired by Shaker recruitment media here in January. And so it was quite a journey. We lived all through the shutdowns in Canada. We lived through COVID and all the upheaval of remote work. And so it's really interesting to work in a space that's just gone through so many ebbs and flows in such a short period of time. But I'm excited and I love that team. I'm really proud of them.
So throughout all of that and doing all of that, could you just tell me about, like, what were you eating? Like, what was your relationship with food during that time?
Yeah, I've always really liked to cook. So I started cooking a lot more in college, started, semi-homemade, canned stuff that you can add spices to, and then got pretty good about eating mostly things that I make myself. Um, but convenience is part of the experience for founders, and so ramen is never too far away from me. That's actually my first formative memory. I've been eating ramen like several times a week since I was 7. It's kind of a miracle that I don't have scurvy. But yeah, so I was cooking quite a lot at the time that I was going through that transition. I was actually living in Chinatown here in Philly, and so if you look at my fridge and what's in my pantry, at least half of it is going to be more Asian produce or Asian goods. And so I was cooking a lot with the ingredients that I could get within a few blocks. I was also living about a block from Reading Terminal Market, and so I had access to farm fresh produce, butchers, kind of all these things that we don't see in our like food societies any longer. And even when we went into lockdowns during COVID, I mean, I had everything I needed within a 2 block radius. I had an organic grocery, Mom's Organic 2 blocks away. I had all the groceries in Chinatown that were still operating. I had Reading Terminal Market. I had all the restaurants around me. And so I got to tell you, I really didn't miss food very much when we were in lockdowns because I probably had the most access to it out of anyone. Um, but yeah, I also do a lot of restaurants. I worked in the restaurant industry for 15 years. And so um, I'm an immigrant too. We didn't get to go out much when I was a kid. And there's nothing that's more satisfying to me. Like the one thing I want to spend all my money on beyond travel is just food. And so I was going out to restaurants a lot. Like I would say half my paycheck was getting blown by going out to eat. And I really don't regret it.
So are you a person that finds cooking meditative? Like, is it like soothing for you to cook, or is it kind of, are you in the category of like, I'm gonna cook tonight, like, but it's kind of a burden?
Oh no. My preference is to cook. I mean, I love DoorDash and all the apps and I live and die by them, but my preference is very much to cook. I do find it really meditative. And so even like in relationships I've had, it's not that, my partners won't cook, it's that I won't let them. And so I'm not like a big morning person, so breakfast is on them, but lunch, dinner, snacks, anything. I really love spending time in the kitchen. And I'm very seasonal with the sort of things that I enjoy cooking. So
What's your favorite thing to cook? Like, so it's fall right now. Like, what's your favorite fall dish?
oh man, I don't really have a favorite. I'm very big on all things noodles. Like last meal is some variety of pasta, noodles, whatever else. And so we're kind of moving into soup season, so I'll be doing a lot more stews. I'm originally from Ukraine, and so you got like borscht and all of that good stuff going too. Stuffed peppers, we're big in my family. So all the traditional Eastern European stuff will start coming out a little bit more than it does in the summer in my kitchen. But mostly noodles are my go-to. I make all my own pasta sauces from scratch. Pasta puttanesca is like the easiest thing to make, so I always have ingredients for that. Um, but I forget the name of the soup, but it's a Vietnamese shallot soup. It's like a clear soup that's made with shrimp as well. And I started making that a couple of years ago, and it's become one of the staples in my kitchen because once you have the broth, it just gets better over time for the next like 2 days. So you can meal prep it super easily. But yeah, those are my go-tos.
I love a good puttanesca. Like, seriously, just like, it's just so, and you can really be very varied with like the meat or the fish that you put in it. It's delicious, I
Oh
find.
yeah. I mean, all those pasta sauces, I think I was spoiled a little bit. I worked at a pizza shop and a cheesesteak shop in high school. And so all the folks in the kitchen taught me how to make like a great piccata, a great puttanesca, a great Alfredo, all that quick stuff that you'd find on a pizza menu. And so I think that that's why I gravitate towards a lot of that is it's easy to make, but you can really look in your fridge and go like full chopped on it and just put whatever it is that you have available to you.
Did you get, so when you were working in restaurants, did that energize you about food, or did it like kind of like make you who think like, oh, I'm not into cooking right now?
Oh no, I loved it. I think working in restaurants was formative for me because my mom and dad cooked quite a lot too when I was younger, and so I was just used to seeing all day cooking all the time. We weren't really big into processed food. And we were living off food stamps and Produce Junction, if fellow poor kids. And so, I had to get used to being around people that cooked all the time. And my parents both worked. So when they weren't home, we had to cook. And so I got pretty good with using sort of semi homemade things. But as I got into restaurants, I learned like knife skills and technique and how you cook certain ingredients, what the order of operations is when you're cooking, what things are supposed to smell like when they're done. and just start to experiment a lot more, because when you have access to all this stuff in a restaurant, especially when I was working at like a cheesesteak shop where we were like four high school kids, completely unmanaged by anyone. Our manager was the son of the owner, and he was our same age, so it was kind of a free for all. And I had a coworker that really enjoyed, taking extracurriculars out back. So when he'd come in, he'd make all the munchies for us. And so it's kind of fun because we just got to go nuts and experiment every day and just cook with whatever was on the line. And so I think it really got me into being more creative with my cooking, understand how to use more ingredients, and really make the most of whatever your budget was.
So it's funny because for me, the restaurant like totally burned me out from
Mm.
cooking. I think it was like, I mean, it's a little different, right? Because it's like, oh, you have to like let a chef go. And so then you have to cook for 2 weeks until you find another chef, or, you're always thinking about like the cost of goods sold in a restaurant. So like, even when I go out to eat, I'm like the worst person to go out to eat with because I'll be like, well, we should get this dish because it's actually the best value. And my wife will be like, I really don't want to eat that. I'll be like, well, we really should. I was like, you should actually drink like this scotch because this scotch like gives you the best value. It's like their highest cost of goods sold. She's like, yeah, but I don't like scotch.
I do that same thing sometimes. So, I mean, I've always had friends that bartended. I was more on like the service side, in front of house, but I almost went to Le Cordon Bleu. Actually got in, almost transitioned halfway through college to go. And my mom was like, you can do whatever you want, knowing full well that I was more than past the halfway point in like traditional college. So I wasn't going to leave. But I was like, I'll take a semester. I'll decide if I want to go afterwards. And then, of course, that January, they stopped taking new enrollments. So I missed my opportunity. But I'm kind of glad that I did, because I do have so many friends in the service industry. And it really does ruin you when you're working back to back
That's right.
too
That's
much,
right.
right? You really, literally know how the sausage is made.
Right.
So all my chef friends are like, yeah, that's great. But if I'm cooking, I'm making grilled cheese.
100%. Like I could not agree more.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what's your relationship with food like right now? Like what are you like what's your go-to? Like what are you eating like currently for breakfast, lunch, dinner?
So I actually don't really eat breakfast, which is kind of interesting. Like I'm a iced coffee in the morning, so very seasonal with the things that I eat. Coffee for or breakfast for me now is an iced instant coffee. I know instant, controversial, but that's my European roots. I got really into the DeLong coffee movement as well during the pandemic, because if you know, you know, it's like frappes are my thing. So usually it's just a coffee with some oat milk and sweetener in the summer, and then in the winter maple syrup in like a hot cappuccino
Okay.
style coffee. So big on the French press, big on steeping my beans, or blooming my beans, and usually just a foamed oat milk on top. But that's my formula for breakfast. If I am going anywhere, usually it's pastries. Big croissant fan, like almond croissants. Oh, so good. Um,
What's your favorite place in Philly for an almond croissant?
so a lot of them actually serve from the same bakery, but
Oh.
Machine Shop is by far my favorite. They're located in the Bach building. They also do an everything croissant that has goat cheese, cream cheese in the middle. I
Ooh.
used to walk a mile every morning when I lived in Chinatown to Rival Brothers because they sold it there. They closed that location since, but yeah, oh man, that thing's the best. I also really like ICI macaroons. If you end up going to them, they're in Old City. And that is like my secret sauce. If I'm feeling a little bit bougie, I go get my box of macaroons and it holds me over for the rest of the week.
That's awesome. So like when you're working on your company, like what is a scenario that makes you go get the macaroons? Like is it like a celebration thing or is it like a I just did this really hard thing or like we had bummed out, you know?
Yeah, no, that's my like baller thing that I do
Okay.
is like
Yeah.
when I was doing really well consulting, I had surplus capital. I lived on my own. I was like 26 and definitely let it go to my head. And so I was walking over, buying my $40 box of macaroons and being a little princess in my little loft, eating my various flavors. But I'm really into kind of making things an experience with food, right? So I truly cherish sitting down. I use very specific silverware or bowls for the things that I'm eating. I use very specific high end condiments. Like I'm very big into everything that I do around food is ritualistic, because it's like that small moment in the day that you truly get to take a little break and enjoy yourself, create something, engage your senses in a different way, and sort of block out the world because it can be an all encompassing experience. So, yeah, like I mean, I present all my food even at home. It's definitely not restaurant quality all the time, but I make an effort to make sure that there's garnishes and it's plated right and this whole thing. Because you're going to eat a meal every single day. Why not make it beautiful and perfect and like really make it something every moment?
I love that. I talk to like very early stage founders a lot, and they're just like not eating. You know what I mean? They just like
Yeah.
don't eat. They're just like they drink coffee and then they like grab a protein bar and they're just like going after their company. Um,
Yeah. That's a good point because intermittent fasting became such a thing. And I was like, there have definitely been months on end where I'm having like one meal a day. And it's just, that's part of the experience sometimes. Like even at PSL, September to December is event season. And so for a good 2 months there, I'm living off like one meal a day, which is not the healthiest thing on earth.
yeah.
But
And I actually for fasting, I do fast because I just think it's like I don't think it's like a old wives tale or anything, but so my mom has Parkinson's and fasting is supposed to increase your brown fat. So I
mm,
just stop eating at like 7 or so, and then
mhm,
I don't eat until like 10 a.m. and it
mm,
works out well for me. I will say the bummer about that for me is that so my wife is she's a partner at a large law firm.
mm.
And so the problem for me is that she doesn't get home until late. And if she's not home, I'm not really eating dinner
Yeah.
because I literally do not cook. It's so bad. It's so bad. I just don't cook at all.
So what's your go-to if you get hungry at home?
So it's very embarrassing. So I will say that first of all, I never look in the drawers in my refrigerator. Like there'll be vegetable drawers, and like I just tell Kelly will come home and she'll say, "Oh, there's these like cucumbers and like I put whatever like in the vegetable drawer," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it wasn't like in front of me, so I didn't see it." So
Mm,
I
mm,
literally open the fridge. Typically, there's leftovers. So like right now there are leftovers of like she made this salmon cooked perfectly with just corn
mm,
and tomatoes. And
mm,
so it's just delicious, incredible. And so those leftovers, luckily for me, I typically just eat those. But if there
mm.
are not leftovers, I'm like, all right, let me grab a Fairlife. Let me grab a chomp stick. Let me grab some Triscuits, and like the things like won't even go together, but I just like need the calories.
Fair enough. I mean,
It's
I feel like
terrible.
everything kind of goes together if you want it to. I think chopsticks were like the great savior for all founders.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, because really you do sometimes like need to just grab and go for
Yeah.
sure. I think the founders that like are able to just like you said, like have meals be more like ritualistic and a break for them, that seems to be kind of the sweet spot where you can kind of take a break, even if it's for one of the meals. Like
Yeah.
you might not be able to do that for every meal, but if it's for one meal, I feel like that's like a moment to kind of like have some food meditation.
Yeah, I think it's just, you need a minute throughout your day. Like today, for example, I have back-to-back meetings since the time I woke up, had to prep for this, had to like wash my hair, which is always a whole journey, and like get ready because I also have a dinner in Wilmington tonight. And then a full day tomorrow that's part of that same conference. And then it's back to back. And on Wednesday next week, I leave for a 5-week trip to Asia. So like I'm back to backs all day. And even today, normally I would just skip lunch on a day like this. I wouldn't eat until 6 o'clock. But I was like, if I don't eat right now, I'm not going to be able to focus through anything. And I'm just going to feel so much more unsettled throughout the day. So I just made some mazamin and was like, look, this is lunch. Completely botched it too. It did not turn out well, but food's food. Um, and I think sometimes you just need that settling moment because then all these things that you've been scrambling through in survival mode throughout the day can really like settle in and start to marinate, and they make a lot more sense. And so by the end of that moment, I feel like you have an entire lease on life. Like it's almost waking up again from a nap, right? But it's way more conscious than that.
I, li-
But yeah,
I
I mean, I
like
think it's also like you feel good, right? It can bring you comfort in ways that a lot of other things can't.
Yeah, I liked your marinate metaphor there. That was very spot on. Unintentional, it seemed like, but very spot on.
I watch a lot of Letterkenny, so
There you go. There you go. So you said you're going to Wilmington for dinner tonight. So I always ask every guest like, what are you doing for dinner tonight?
So I'm actually going to a dinner called the Non-Obvious Dinner. And the premise of this, it's an invite-only event that investment group called Chartline puts on every year, based on the book by Rohit Bhargava. And so the idea is, what is non-obvious today that's going to change the world in 5 years? And that could have been QR codes, combustion engines, like all sorts of things throughout history, COVID. And so every year, people stand up and they present these ideas. So the format is, you go in, the room is absolutely chock full of, private equity investors, family wealth, um, it's a very high access sort of room. And then you have a dinner. I don't remember what's on the menu tonight. I think it's salmon and something else. But last year they had short rib, and I got to tell you, it was spectacular. And so, country club dinners. Listen, I worked in catering for many years, and it speaks to my soul. So I'll probably go with whatever the good protein is on the menu. And then you discuss these ideas that you're presenting, and everyone talks and takes it in a completely different direction. The table votes for the best idea, and then you present in front of the group. And then you end with some after dinner cocktails. And then I'll probably be driving back. I usually don't end up staying in Wilmington, but at that hour, it's a quick drive. Otherwise, a lot of times when I go to those dinners, especially if it's like a happy hour, I'll just stay in Wilmington and I'll go to the Coin Hotel. Has a phenomenal restaurant by one of my favorite Philly restaurateurs that recently opened, and I'll get myself like a nice big wood-fired steak and just go in.
I do think it's so interesting the role that food plays in like those types of scenarios for founders. Like oftentimes, like the dinner, like meals are how you kind of break bread with investors, and that's how kind of people just start to get to know you for sure. Was there like a big dinner that you have had that was like high stakes for one of your companies?
Oh, all the time. I mean, I got to tell you, like, if anyone wants to be an entrepreneur, they need to go bartend or work in a restaurant, especially if they don't come from a family of means, because the way that you learn to talk to so many different people is so critical, because you need to learn how to code switch, especially if you don't come from those worlds, because it really is true that people that come up with means, they just look at the world in a different way. They speak in a different way. They understand food in a different way. And so it's something that you can keep in your arsenal. And so when you go to founder dinners, right? Like, do you know what the etiquette is when you're sharing food or ordering for a large group? So like, you have to consider, what are those sort of things that are easy to share? How do you meet dietary restrictions? How do you order off of a wine list, right? What is the etiquette of pouring wine, or which forks you use, and all these things? And if I didn't work in catering, I'd have no idea, right? And so every time that I've had this opportunity, that sort of knowledge has really helped me build a career in sales. It's helped me sit in rooms with people that are way out of my, normal realm of existence and how I grew up. I mean, I would have had no way to talk to them at all or communicate with them if I hadn't gone through those experiences. And so I think it's actually one of the most critical things that you need as a founder. Is food is that unifying good. And it's a great way that you can kind of trap folks, right? So I'm a big believer that like the best thing that you could do with your time is like, great if you want to go get an MBA, but like go spend 60 grand sitting at cafes and restaurants and just talk to people, and you'll get like a way better experience, in my opinion. And I do that a lot. Like, I travel, I talk to everybody I sit next to on a plane. I buy people drinks all the time, because once you buy someone a coffee or a cocktail or whatever else, or invite them to share a plate with you when you're just sitting at a random restaurant halfway around the world, it opens up really interesting conversations. And so I've actually met like the guys that started the 9/11 fund, sitting at a bar in Toverhallerin. Sorry, Danish people listening. I know I butchered that. But it's like the Reading Terminal Market of Copenhagen. And these guys were just sitting next to me waiting for a reservation. And we had a great dialogue. And I've met people like that. I just got a recent client sitting at the bar at the Ritz, just chatting them up and saying, what are you doing in Philly? And so I think food can be this great placemaker for where you can engage with others, because the stakes are so much lower. I'm a big believer that like the bar is the best place to sit, even if you don't drink. Like, sit there, have a soda, but that's where conversation happens. And I got to tell you, I've gotten more business and more relationships out of that than I've ever paid for. Like, the value is enormous. But yeah, all the time. I mean, I think it's just so important to know how to communicate around food. And also, like,
100%.
international cultures is like another thing too. If you travel for business, you really got to know your etiquette, and you got to know how to hold chopsticks.
100%. Okay, so tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can find more information about startup leaders in Jigsaw.
Sure. Yeah. So You can find me on LinkedIn, or you could visit me at startupleaders.org or getgigsaw.com to follow my work. And I'm usually pretty responsive on LinkedIn. My inbox is always a disaster, so bear with me. But I always want to hear what folks are working on. Yeah.
Awesome. It was so great to have you on Founders Fridge. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It was great talking to you. Let's go eat soon.
Awesome. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, success got the drive and the hunger. But what's on your dinner plate? What keeps you going longer? From shucking oysters to talking food with the founders. From quick snacks to the big contracts. The Founders Fridge, the